Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings be upon everyone. I'm going to do that one more time. I know we're all in mourning, but we are standing strong. Assalamu alaikum. It is great to have you all here. It is good to be here, but it's also very sad to be here. It's unfortunate that these are the circumstances in which we have to meet. But what can we do? Even when we're suffering, even when we're facing trauma and grief, we still come together and stand strong. All sectors of the community, and that's what's so beautiful about the Canada that we know and the Canada that we love. And I can speak here about a billion things that you probably already know, but instead I'm going to share a poem with you all. The first half of the poem was written in light of these unfortunate events, but the second half I actually wrote years ago when there was a Muslim ban in America. And unfortunately, it's funny, but it's sad that I have to repeat the same words, because no matter where you are in the world, the issue is still the same at its very core. Anti-Muslim hate, Islamophobia, white supremacy. There is just so much going around, and everything is connected. And I wanted to specifically share that bottom half of that poem because my former MP, John Oliver, actually shared this part of the poem in Parliament the day that the Islamophobia motion M103 was passed. So that was a great way to kind of tie everything together. So without further ado, this is Unmet Friends 2.0. Every time I leave the house, I pick up my wallet, my keys, and my mental shield. I never know if I'll need it, so I keep it with me, hidden, concealed, just in case. The shield is heavy. It's exhausting to carry around, but who knows if I'll need it, at the grocery store or the playground. I tell myself, it's all in your head. Just keep your head up, smile, and look ahead. They're not looking at you funny, they just love your shoes. They're not comparing you to those people on the news. You don't have to prove your humanity. What is this insanity? You're fine. But just as I start to believe these lies I tell myself, reality makes a better argument. Someone who looks like me was killed. Because they look like me, they were killed. Okay, I guess they weren't looking at my shoes. Even if it was the first time, it's one time too many. How can our lives be seen as cheaper than a penny? Why are their hearts so full of hate? Why is my life even up for debate? I know I look different. Trust me, I do. But why are you the standard? Why must I look like you? This world is a puzzle, each of us a different piece. You're one part of the picture, not the centerpiece. This world is a puzzle, each of us a different piece. Only when we come together, we create the picture of peace. But how can there be peace if there is systemic discrimination? Politicians who say they're against hate, who actually set this racist foundation. How can you think there's no correlation? You can't ban my hijab in parts of this nation and then tell me you value my participation. How does this make sense? You can't ban children from flying because of their Muslim name, treat us like suspects, and then say you're not to blame. You knock on my door when it's time to get elected, and I vote for you, thinking I'll be protected. But if you don't keep the promises you make, I will find someone who will, because my life is at stake. You can talk all you want with the we wills and we cans, but if you don't take real action, our blood is on your hands. And not just Muslim blood, but native, brown, and black. If any one of us is threatened, we are all under attack. There is hate, but the love is more. There is fear, but the faith is more. There is hurt, but the hope is more. See, even with my trauma and all of my pain, I still go out of my way and build bridges again and again, because connecting with you is my only defense. If I convince you I'm human enough, maybe you won't be on the fence. Maybe it'll start to make sense. You see, fear happens when people fail to see that you're actually just like me. We have to see each other for who we are. We eat the same food, drive the same car. We both have kids who drive us crazy. We all have weekends when we're lazy. We all hate spiders, cold coffee, and lines, and we're not a fan of parking fines. We follow the same shows on our TV. We like reading a good book under a tree. We dread shoveling when the snow hits hard, and we have barbecues in the backyard. You get your wife flowers? Well, so does he. And we all love a nice warm cup of tea. We love it when Nana makes a home-cooked pie. And when we watch The Notebook, we always cry. You see, you and I, we're a lot alike. I may be Muhammad, you may be Mike, but our lives are more similar than you think. Our humanity is our common link. We have the same pleasures and the same fears. The same things make us happy. The same things bring us tears. So no, I am not a security threat. We're just friends who haven't met. At least, not yet. And thank you so much.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Amal, for that amazing poem. Very powerful. One more thing, so the washrooms are open, so if you need to go, you can go. And if you're a child or you feel tired or you feel overwhelmed, that building, that brown building over there, I don't remember what it's called. It's open, so you can go there too. So we got you. Now, I would like to bring Uncle Taha Ghayur. He is a prominent community member in our society, working for decades to raise awareness against Islamophobia and help provide justice to those deeply affected by this hate.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Peace be with you all, and thank you, Amal, for such an eloquent poem and words of reflection. Very hard to follow, coming after a poet who is so articulate. Well, my friends, my brothers, my sisters in faith and in humanity, Islamophobia hurts. Islamophobia paralyzes. Islamophobia kills. It has hit too close this time. Too close this time. It's been a painful and heavy week for so many of us. Over 1 million Canadians right here in this country, in this province, in this beautiful city of Oakville. And as I think about the 15-year-old Yamna Salman, this beautiful, bright young girl, mercilessly ran over, killed by a terrorist, by a Muslim-hating terrorist in London, Ontario, I think about my own 15-year-old. My own 15-year-old girl at home. As I reflect on the helplessness of that 9-year-old boy who is recovering in the hospital and helplessly missing his mom and crying for his missing mom, I think about my own 9-year-old son at home. It's hard not to tear up when you think about this and you talk to your children. And it reminded me of the 17 children who were orphaned not that long ago, once again by a terrorist who hated people who looked different, perhaps walked different, spoke different language perhaps, in the Quebec City about 4 years ago. I was there just a couple of days after, part of a team of Dawanet who went down to help some of those individuals, the victims and their families, and raise their funds. And I can tell you, till this day, I have a hard time sleeping at night because I saw those 17 orphans, the widows, and the entire community torn apart. Entire community, till this day. And every single time an incident like this happened, like the Church Christ shooting in New Zealand 2 years ago, or the killing of a man at IMO Mosque in Etobicoke, and just last week in London, Ontario. These families are literally reliving an entire nightmare of losing their father, losing their sons, losing their husband, and so on. Just recently, our Honorable Prime Minister asked this question, or posed this, saying, how can we explain this to a child who's in a hospital? Well, sadly, the reality is that this is a question that we address and we have to address over and over and over again. It is an inconvenient truth and explanation that nobody wants to hear about. For far too long, we have been pretending that Islamophobia does not exist. We have been failing to understand the devastating impact Islamophobia has on people. For far too long, we have allowed voices of hate in Canada to take root, to nurture, and to spread. And since 9/11, we have emboldened white supremacists and other hate mongers to get organized, to hold public events like these, and target innocent civilians. This is our doing, and our political leaders are partly responsible. So don't ask me how it happened, because Islamophobia and hate do not brew in a vacuum. Our federal, provincial, municipal leaders are partly responsible. Islamophobia hurts, Islamophobia paralyzes, Islamophobia kills. We are living in a mirage, thinking that because there's a dissonance, there's a disconnect, there's a dichotomy between the Canada that we like to portray to the world and the Canada that majority of marginalized people live and experience for decades. We have a sad legacy of dark colonial settler projects in this country and genocidal policies in this country. And as we were just reeling from the unthinkable and unspeakable crimes against 215 children of indigenous communities in the BC, and now we witnessed recently an ideal family, Canadian Muslim family, who was just taking a stroll and walking down the street to be murdered by a terrorist in the heart of the oldest Muslim community, the pioneering Muslim community of Ontario, one of our oldest communities, Muslim communities in Canada, hosting the oldest mosque of Ontario. My friends, my brothers and sisters, I want to just talk to for a couple more minutes by reminding myself and all of you about a few things that you and I can do. To my friends of Muslim community and faith who are grieving, and rightly so. Number one, take refuge in God, and remember the prayer of all the prophets, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil, which is God is sufficient for us, and how great is He as our guardian. So let us remember that, because this is the prayer of our times. And as you walk down the street, do not be afraid, but be cautious. Be cautious. Look around you and take care of your surroundings. Take care of other people. But walk with pride. Walk with dignity. And walk with intention. And as you walk down the street, remember other people who are going through a difficult time and around you. You may see them or you may not see them. As you walk around, make sure you are there, and you stand back up as you fall every time. Stand back up so that you can fight for the rights of other people. So you can fight the genocides that are taking place around the world and at home at times. So you can fight Islamophobia and all forms of hate. To my friends and allies who are here from other communities, thank you for being here. Your solidarity means a lot to us. But it needs to translate to action. And we're asking you to not only support us, stand with us, but walk with us. Walk the talk and walk in our shoes. To know and to amplify our cause, to amplify our voices. And to my dear politicians and public space holders, public policy makers, I want to remind myself and all of you once again, we thank you first of all for being here and for your solidarity. But as we walk lonely most of the time in these parks, we want you to walk with us. But not just walk with us, but walk with us by criminalizing Islamophobia. Walk with us by criminalizing and dismantling all forms of hate, including white supremacy. We're looking for action because time for empty statements is over. Islamophobia hurts. Islamophobia paralyzes. Islamophobia kills. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Taha, you saying that? Sorry. I can relate to that as a 15-year-old myself. If I walked to high school, I would have thought twice after this incident, because that's literally scary. Anyways, now we are going to go to Dr. Alia. She is a prominent nurse, prominent doctor in our Muslim society, and as she saves lives, she also saves humanity. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters in humanity. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the land on which we are meeting, in this town of Oakville, belongs traditionally to the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations, and this has a very significant First Nations history. This acknowledgement is very important and very relevant today, given the grief that our Indigenous brothers and sisters are feeling. Today we mourn the tragic killing of 4 members of the Afzal family, leaving only their 9-year-old child alone in the hospital. In the wake of this horrific terrorist attack, Canadians have come together in solidarity with the Muslim community. Our leaders from all political parties are standing united against Islamophobia. And remember, this is not an isolated incident. Muslims have been targeted and killed previously purely for their faith, their Abrahamic faith. Taking a life out of hatred and prejudice is the most heinous crime. We have lost 4 precious souls. God tells us in the Holy Quran, whoever kills a person, it is as if he has killed all of mankind. Islam requires us to work together to establish peace and uphold the sanctity of life, all life, regardless of race, religion, or ethnicity. The Quran teaches us to respond to hate and hostility with love and peace. And as Brother Tahir Gayur has said, we must stand united and defend the values of our great nation. We must condemn hatred and racism in all its forms, and it only leads to death and destruction. We must work together to stop the systemic racism and hatred which is present in our community. We have to acknowledge it first, and then we have to work to stop it. And what we are seeing is a manifestation of this hatred. It is a symptom of this disease. The disease is hatred, and we have to recognize it. And it's manifesting with murder and acts of terrorism that we are witnessing today. And we must take action. We must criminalize Islamophobia. We must pressure the tech giants, Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, and other social media platforms to remove hateful comments and address the hate speech online. This is radicalizing the youth and leads to acts of terrorism and should not be tolerated. It is also important to hold our mainstream media to account and demand fair, unbiased reporting. The false stereotypes of Muslims and Islam must be rejected. The narratives which paint Muslims as the other must be rejected. Muslims today are in fact the victims of terrorism around the globe. We cannot afford to lose more lives by not taking action. And we demand meaningful action from our government. Our heartfelt prayers are for 9-year-old Fayaz Afzal, the sole survivor of the Afzal family massacre. And we pray to God Almighty to enable us to collectively address the hatred in our communities and to defend the values of our great nation. Thank you so much for coming today. Your solidarity means a lot to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alia, for that speech. I really appreciate all of you guys coming here. And now I would also like to thank the town and their services, like police and everything. They're all here. So we need to appreciate them for their service. Thank you so much for that. So now I would like to call upon our Honorable Mayor. He has come here to comfort us as the Mayor of Oakville, to assure us that Oakville has our back. He has come with his counselors and his assistant. So thank you so much for giving your time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for organizing the event. I want to start by acknowledging that we are on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, and they still have treaty rights to our land. They live with us here. They have fishing and camping rights on our creeks and on our shores. And in truth, they never went away, not permanently anyway. And about 200 years ago, they welcomed into their territory white settlers from the empire and black settlers fleeing slavery from the United States, all of them seeking a better life. And together, for the first 50 years that they were here, they came together and created a vision for the future community that is Oakville, based on a vision of harmony and prosperity. And the livability that our previous generations have created continue today to attract people from all over the world. And most of us, almost all of us, welcome them with open arms and open hands. I've said to many newcomers, the warmest welcome in our community is for people who show up with willing hands when there is community work to be done. And certainly the Muslims of Oakville and Halton have no superior. You're not surpassed by any other group in your dedication to community service. You're on the right path to engage and expand awareness of the value that you bring to our community. And as the other speakers have said, I pray that you will not let this event cow you. I pray that you will continue to stand up and participate, continue to engage and expand, enlarge the circle of understanding, and it's in that my council and I have our hope. With me today are Councillors Natalia Lischina, Councillor Janet Haslett-Deal, Councillor David Giddings, Councillor Tom Adams, and Councillor Beth Robertson. And the rest of council would be here, except that they have other council duties. All of us are with you. So please stay involved. This was a frightening, horrible event, because no matter how much you follow my advice to engage and expand and show people how good we are, that does not defend you when you're taking an innocent walk and some idiot decides to kill you with a truck in a premeditated, hateful, horrible manner. And it grieves me badly that there is no defense against that. And it doesn't console me that I know that hate has always been with us on this planet throughout the ages. It doesn't console me that hate today may not be as bad as people can think of examples of in the past. Any hate is too much. And I ask you to remember, everybody is capable of feeling hate about something. And when you give in to a feeling of hate, you give it freedom to go infect other people. So if there's anything that we can do as people, it's to try to restrain our own hate and try to continue on the path of the prophet who told us that peace is the answer. I know that the police will do what they can I hope that the government of Canada, which is the one that sets the criminal laws, will respond to the calls. I add my calls to yours for federal action, and I know that our MPs, and our MPPs also support you in that call, and you'll hear from them later. So, thank you very much for your attention to my few poor words. Salam alaikum.
As the mayor said, the federal government takes care of criminal law and things like that. But first of all, I want to say that man was a terrorist. Okay, he was a terrorist, and terrorist. And we do not accept terrorism in any form in this society, and we know that. So this man is a terrorist, and we will hold him accountable for what he did. Now, I would like to call the MPs, the member of parliament that work in Ottawa, to come say a few words about this. And I want to say, as you guys are coming, that you guys have an important duty for our community, and you guys need to hold the person accountable, because you guys have the full authority to do so. So you guys can come out. So we have Cabinet Minister Anita Anand. She takes care of COVID and things like that, but right now she needs to take care of our community. Then we have Pam Demoff, the MP of Oakville North Burlington, and we have Adam Van, the MP of Milton. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered on traditional territory. I know I came here to express condolences and sympathies with my community. I'm the MP of Milton, one of the strongest Muslim diasporas in Canada. And when we knock on doors during elections, we say we're going to be there for you. When we show up at the masjid on Jummah to talk to you about politics, we say we're going to be there for you. And I'm here to say that we are here for you. This is an extremely difficult time for your community. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. And I would like to express sympathies and condolences, but I would also like to express solidarity and agree that that was an act of terrorism, and agree that it keeps happening. I want to agree that Canada has a problem with systemic racism, and we have a lot to confront, regardless of who we are and where we're from. We all carry a lot of baggage with us. We have prejudices, we have problems, we have hate, and that's ours to deal with. Collectively, as a society, we have to stand up against those prejudices and confront those and ensure that our communities are safe. Safe for families and safe for kids, and safe to pray and safe to dress how you want to dress and how your community dresses. We say that in Canada, diversity is our strength. Diversity is also the answer, but diversity is a fact in Canada, and the act is inclusion and love. And that's the act that we must do, stepping forward, taking on this obligation to serve our communities. I want you to know that your voices are heard. When they're trembling, they're heard. When we're texting at night because you don't know where else to turn and you want to have your voices heard, your voices are heard. And we're not just going to be there at your door during elections. We're going to be there to pass better laws and to create better policies and make sure that every single day we're laying another brick to make Canada a safer, more inclusive country. You have my commitment. Next, I'm going to introduce my friend and colleague, MP Pam Demoff.
Thanks, Adam. Assalamu alaikum. I too would like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We're here to offer our prayers to those who are hurting and our support to those who are fearful. I look at Sidra. I'm so proud of you. And I remember when you were a little girl and you've grown up into such a fine young woman. But I also am sad that you have to be fearful as you walk down the street because you wear a hijab. And I also think of the young girl that was killed in London, Ontario, and that it could have been you, or it could have been any family who's here right now because someone held so much hate in their heart for other people because of their religion. I grew up in London, Ontario. My house backed onto Hyde Park Road, and I remember when the mosque in London was built. I was just a little girl, and I didn't know until last night that it's the second oldest mosque in Canada. I take a lot of pride for my community of London for embracing people of the Muslim faith so early, but I'm also absolutely appalled at what happened in my hometown. That a terrorist act happened just down the street from where I grew up. And that people in London, Ontario, and across Canada right now are fearful of leaving their homes and going for a walk. Our government listed 3 white supremacist organizations as terrorist groups in 2019. We were the first government to do so. Just recently, we listed more far-right extremist groups as terrorist organizations, including the Proud Boys. On May the 5th, I brought a motion to the Public Safety Committee in Ottawa to study a term that's used by our security agencies called ideologically motivated violent extremism. It's people who are committing terrorist acts because of hate, white supremacy, and misogyny. Both the Canadian Security Intelligence Service and the National Security Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians have said that it's a growing threat to Canadians. Before Sunday's attack, 21 people had been killed and 40 people had been wounded on Canadian soil due to ideologically motivated violent extremism. Think about that. When people say that this does not exist in Canada, they're wrong. And so today, we had a meeting this afternoon, and I asked the committee to have an additional meeting on this issue and to invite the National Council of Canadian Muslims to appear to tell us as parliamentarians what they would like us as a government to do. So I want you to know that your grief must be absolutely unbearable right now. We have had grief upon grief upon grief in the last month. Young children in Palestine who were killed. 215 children found in a mass grave in Kamloops, British Columbia. And now 3 generations of one family that were lost because of a terrorist attack. I can't imagine the sorrow that you feel, but please know that we share it, that the Prime Minister, Adam and Anita, and myself, and all members of Parliament will do what needs to be done to make sure that we are confronting Islamophobia and hate in Canada. Thank you so much for inviting me tonight.
Well, hi everybody. Assalamu alaikum. I am finding it incredibly emotional and tragic to be here with you this evening. As many of you know, I was elected in 2019 and then COVID struck, and I've been in my house and you've been in your houses ever since. And tonight I said, this is the one time I'm leaving my house, because it is so important to our community to know that your pain and your suffering is our pain and our suffering too. And nothing can change that tragic car accident, murder, that murderous event on Sunday evening, but we can, as elected officials, we can stand with you, we will stand with you, and we will bring the message of Halton and Oakville and Milton and Burlington together that this has to stop. We cannot continue to have events like Quebec City, like Christchurch, like Etobicoke, and now London become routine, acceptable events. This is not the way our country should work, and this is unacceptable here. I want to say that racism exists in our playgrounds, in our schools, in our universities, in our restaurants, in our institutions, our public and our private institutions. I know it and you know it. What we have to do is to call it out. We can't turn a blind eye. We have to call it out and describe it for what it is. And that is why we all need to accept and state quite clearly that Islamophobia is unacceptable in this country. It exists, and it is not something we are going to accept or tolerate. Not today, not tomorrow, not next year, never. And so when I decided to run, part of the reason I did was because I wanted to be part of a government that stood up against racism, that stood up against persecution of visible minorities and any minority group because of race, religion, ethnic, or other cultural demographic characteristics. I want to be a part of a government that stands up and fights against racism in all of its forms. And so you have my word that I will fight for you, and I will work with you, and I will walk with you every day and every night until we succeed. Until we overcome the actual fact that racism exists in corners of our country, that people turn a blind eye, pretend they didn't hear it, don't know how to respond. Well, we are not going to be that government. And Pam and Adam and I and Karina, who couldn't make it tonight, are all with you. For this region, we will take this back again to Ottawa, as we did with Etobicoke, as we did with Quebec City, and as we continue to do. Because in my view, nothing is more important. Now you might say, she thinks vaccines are more important. I know, but I will tell you, not for 1 minute does the need to protect our society from racist behavior leave my mind. Not for 1 second. I've lived it. I have not lived it like you have lived it, but I understand. And I am here for you, as I said, every single day and every night. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our federal leaders. Again, it is a huge yes. Servants, yes, my servants, our servants. Thank you so much to them. Also, once again, it is your duty to protect your citizens. So you don't choose to do these things. You have to. Because Islamophobia is an actual hate crime. Anyways, we got to federal, now it's for provincial. So first we have up here Stephen Crawford and his wife Mrs. Crawford. Sorry I don't remember your name. They will say a few words on behalf of Doctor.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. I'm sad to even have to be here tonight. I've been in office now for 3 years, and there's been ups and downs, but this is, I think, the saddest day for me personally. And I know there's a gentleman that talked a little earlier about not being able to sleep. Last night I could not sleep. This affected me so much. These acts of terrorism. Nothing but terrorism. This is terror. Terrorism is designed to divide society, divide peoples, kill and maim. It's nothing short of terrorism and a hate crime. This is despicable that we have to live like this in this country today. And yes, things have improved over the years, but they're far, far from perfect. And we have a lot that we need to deal with. I want to give a little bit of a personal story. I don't have a prepared speech. Usually when I come to events, community events, I have a speech and I make my normal points that politicians do. But I wanted to be a little more personal today and share a little bit of my background and understanding about, I grew up in Mississauga, in Lorne Park area, not far from here. And at that time, it was a great area, predominantly white, Christian, and never really met too many people from Jewish or Islamic faith, maybe the odd person, but very rarely. But I grew up, it was a great community. Fast forward to 13 years ago, and I fell in love with a Muslim woman, my wife Nadia, who is here today. And I just want to say how much I appreciate the Islamic faith. My father-in-law, Nadia's father, immigrated to Canada. He's Pakistani, but Nadia was born and raised in Morocco. And he came to Canada, penniless, with 2 children. And the person actually that sent him off from Morocco, his best friend there, was actually a Jewish man. And he said, Ahmed, here's some money to get you through the early days in Canada. Gave him a little bit of money to help support him. And he didn't go to Montreal or Toronto. He went to Rouyn-Noranda, if anybody knows where that is, in rural Quebec. The first brown family ever in this remote French-Canadian community. And most people were great and welcoming. I'm not saying they weren't. But there was acts of racism there as well. But Ahmed stood up. He kept working, persevering, shared his love, because he loved everybody. He sadly died 2 years ago in a tragic accident. But he shared his love with everybody. And he went on to become one of the most premier scientists at the Canadian Space Agency. He helped develop the radar satellite program, which looks out for tsunamis and earthquakes, to which we owe a lot of gratitude today. And that was a Pakistani man from Morocco that came here against all odds. And I wanted to share that story because this affects me. I felt the Muslim community so welcoming, not only in a figurative sense. I have great relationships with the Dar Foundation here, and I want to thank the Muslim youth for setting this up tonight, but also personally. And I have learned so much about the faith, read so much on it, celebrated Eid, become familiar with it. And I think if all Canadians can share what I've shared and felt, we're going to live in a more peaceful country. So I challenge everybody, regardless of the hate and division that this despicable terrorist caused, share love and compassion. Do not stop, because we need to come together. So I just wanted to share that personal story. I've never actually shared that in a public event in my life, but I felt compelled today. And it's great to see my federal colleagues here, my municipal colleagues. Let's all work together. Let's share love and let us not let this divide us. Let's come together as human beings. Inshallah, we will get through this. God bless.
Thank you so much, Stephen Crawford, for those words. You guys all talked about change. Hopefully you guys do this change. We're all relying on you to do this change. Yeah. As we're talking, Honorable Andrea Horwath, leader of the provincial NDP, couldn't be here. A few lines from the letter. This week, I join you in sorrow and anger at this difficult time. No family and community should have to go through this pain. Hate cannot prevail in the province or country. So that was from Andrea Horwath. Also, one more from Dr. Iqbal Al-Nadwi, the chair of the Council of Imams. He wrote this really good. It says, "It is very clear that such person is not a lone wolf, but a product of a whole philosophy of hate and violence under layers but a product of a whole philosophy of hate and violence under layers of freedom of speech under racial supremacy, and confident that such act will be diluted soon without severe consequences of it." As usual. Hopefully you guys are something, no? And COVID situation affected Muslims more than others. We lived in peace and cooperated fully. Even we compromised in many religious issues. Muslims demonstrated all over Canada to support our Palestinians who are brutally attacked every single day. During demonstrations, no single incident of attack on supporters of Israel were reportedly reported for emotionally charged Muslims, which proves that Muslims are law-abiding and peace-loving citizens, not terrorists. But even in a time, just like the pandemic that we're living in now, such attack shattered all hopes of living in peace and respect. May Allah bring khair from evil and bless marhum family of Shahad. Ameen. Speaking of the family, we have a family member. First of all, I would like to send my condolences towards you guys. You guys did experience a huge loss. I'm so sorry you guys have to see this today, and hopefully this is the last one that we have to see today. Inshallah. And now I would like to call upon a family member to say a few words. Family members of the victim.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I probably won't be able to speak for very long. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for showing up, for showing support, and for being here. Please keep them in your prayers, especially my cousin Faiz is in the hospital right now, and we're hoping that he has a speedy recovery, inshallah. Please keep him in your prayers. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Again, just want to repeat what my sister said. My name is Kinza. We are very fortunate to have the respect of and the support of the entire community here and across Canada, across the world. I think that speaking to the incident itself, it has been a traumatic few days for the entire family, as you can imagine, as it has been for the community as a whole. We have been so appreciative of the support we've received, so much love that we have gotten, and so much help that we have received. I just want to quickly make a point to really drive home how helpful the MPs have been. Adam, you and I have been in contact, and I
have said this to you before, we can't express our gratitude to you in words. Like all of the MPs involved, yes, they have been amazing. Adam's office, Samir Zuberi in Montreal, his office, we've been in contact with so many MPs, so many officials. We are so grateful. I think what we are really looking for is prayers, but for the future we're looking for policy and we're looking for change. And we're looking for those policies to come from your offices as we elect you. And as Adam, you said, you are here for us, and we have seen that already, and we hope to continue to see that. So here's to change. Here's to never having this conversation ever again for any community.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name's Mohammed. I'm a family member of the victims that we lost, and I just want to say, as my sister said, thank you everyone for coming out. As I'm sure you all understand, we've been going through a lot, but your support has been definitely noticed and has definitely made a huge impact on us, and we really appreciate you. We appreciate the organizers of the events. You guys have been amazing. Like, we haven't even touched anything you've done, and this is like incredible. And I wanted to speak on the topic of change. I know that a lot of people and a lot of like various backgrounds, various social status talk about wanting change and needing change, but no one ever actually talks about what specifically that change needs to be. And it's always the same, you know, we're going to change. We talked about that in Montreal, we talked about that in Etobicoke, we talked about that in the churches. They talked about it in America, Charlottesville. You know, everyone says we need change, but apparently nobody knows what change we need, and I just want to say I'm here to narrow it down for you. The policies that actually make real differences in communities are education, access to mental health, and access to public services where people can actually address their issues. Having that access actually brings down violence levels. It's improving in studies. Please listen to the experts, people who have been educated, have their PhDs and masters. They actually know what they're talking about. And when people say infrastructure is the biggest difference in making a community better, that they know what they're talking about. Please look into that.
Jazakallah khair for saying that. You should all hold yourselves accountable. You look, we lost a little family due to violence because of a hate crime. Think again, you know? We don't want to lose more people. These are all people here. And even not just the Muslim community, everyone here, thank you so much for coming out. Because right now we're getting attacked. If we don't stop this now, it'll be the next person. And it'll just keep on going on. And these people, you need to scream at them. You need to send letters to them. You need to continue and raising your voices to them, or else they won't listen to us. They run by our vote. Listen to our vote. Now we have the family members. You have Sister Munisa Jawad from another family member, and she will say.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Munisa Jawad. I'm sorry if this is a little bit, I wasn't prepared to say anything. But I bring a message from our fellow community member, my dear friend Aisha Shaukat. She lives in Oakville, and it was her mother, her brother, her sister-in-law, and her niece, and her nephew, well, her niece, they all perished, and her nephew, who lies in hospital today. I just wanted to say thank you so much to all our officials for coming here and supporting us. I also wanted to say that ask yourselves one question that I've been thinking about a lot. What can you do if somebody takes a car and hurts you and kills your family members? This is not a weapon. This is not something that is typically used to injure people. So I think you can pass so many laws and policies, and you can ban weapons, but it's not going to change anything. So I ask you today, to change your mindset and change the mindset of those people around you. To see it is okay to say, let's change policy, but what specifically can we do? What do we need to do to make sure that this never happens again? We can say we need general policy changes, but I think we need to sit down and figure out, pinpoint what went wrong. I would also like to say to my Muslim family and to our non-Muslim family, thank you for your support. Don't be afraid. If you are afraid, then the people who are out to harm us have succeeded. So go out with your heads held high and show the world that we are a strong community, and we will continue to stand up for each other and continue to persevere and be strong for each other. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Muniza. Once again, I send my deep condolences to the family that was affected. Inshallah, it will be the last. I keep saying that, I know. Now we will have Sister Sada Khalil, who will be sharing a piece of her, she will say a piece of her mind. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, and she's part of Salam Neighbor, a Dawah organization. So inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sister. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you guys, for being here. It means a lot, and it means a lot especially to the family. I just want to say that it's honestly saddening. It's saddening since the Quebec shooting in the mosque that happened in January 29, 2017. I still have a fear of going to the mosque, a place of worship, to feel at peace. I'm worried that someone will enter while I'm praying and shoot me because I practice my religion. It's been more than 4 years and I still have this fear every time. Now that I walk or drive on the streets every day as a visible Muslim woman wearing the hijab, I still have that fear of someone crashing into me because of my faith, because of what I believe in. All over social media, news articles and posts, Nathaniel's photo is going around of him holding a fish and running a marathon. Where is this picture of the mugshot? Why hasn't that photo gone anywhere on social media? We all know if it was any minority, that would have been the only picture going around. Nathaniel Veltman charged with 4 accounts of first-degree murder and 1 attempted murder of a child. And news sources almost had me crying, sympathizing with the one who intentionally killed our Muslim brothers and sisters in London, almost believing that he was innocent. We learned his place of work and his apartment of residence. We learned that his description is a far cry from his friends and co-workers known him as a nice guy and a good friend who helps when needed. We learned he loved fishing and run marathons as a teenager. But more importantly, we learned he has not been charged with a hate crime. Not only that, but he was laughing as he got arrested. We know he was wearing a body armor. We know that this was a deliberate attack. Yet, he was referred to as the pickup driver instead of the terrorist, and his act was referred to as a deadly collision, like 2 cars crashing into one another on a regular day, rather than a deliberate murder caused by a hatred of Muslim families. Salman, age 46. I wonder what his favorite hobby was. Madiha, age 44. I wonder where she worked. Talat, age 74. I wonder how many people she has impacted. Yumna, age 15. I wonder what university she wanted to get into. And Fayez, the 9-year-old orphan who lost his family forever. Where were their stories? We need to feel safe, heard, at peace.
We need to feel properly represented in the news and media. And we need to feel confident in our Canadian homes. This message does not only go out to our Muslim community, but it also represents the African American, Indigenous, and all other visible minorities who empathize with our pain, that suffer the same system of oppression. We have an opportunity to take this fear and turn it into strength. Because whenever a murder of this horror comes to be, we come together. Not only as a Muslim community, but in unity with all our Canadian brothers and sisters in humanity. We demand action. We come together, we support one another, and we rise as a larger collective.
Jazakallah khair, Sada Khalil, for that inspiring talk. Now, we are aware that we're not the only people oppressed here. There are Aboriginals that are being oppressed at the moment, not having their rights. There are Palestinians, the other side of, almost the other side of the world, that are being oppressed, and we need to acknowledge that. And there's way more. Like, I am ashamed to stand here and say that there's, like, I only named 2. There's so many more out there that, like, you know, we can't even imagine. So, for all these people, in the name of all of these people, we will hold a 1-minute moment of silence in respect to all these people, because they deserve our respect. Their sacrifices are the reason why we are here and why these people will finally make a change, and hopefully this will be the last sacrifice that will be needed to make a change, or else that's not fair. That's not fair at all. So that moment of silence will start. Okay, thank you. The moment of silence has finished, and now we will have Brother Khalil to say a few words. Ammu Khalil, sorry. From Dar Foundation. Dar Foundation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you can hear, our greetings is salam, means peace. And everyone came to the podium here, he said to us salam, which means peace. Allah Almighty, His name is Salam. That means that He is really the means and the ultimate source of peace, tranquility, safety and security. This is our God. This is our Allah. Before I start, I want to thank all the officials that were here today. On behalf of Dar Foundation, I want to thank Mayor Rob Burton, MP Anita, MP Pam, and MP Adam, MPP Stephen, all of them. Thank you very much for coming to here today and mourning with us. It is unfortunate that we stand here today mourning another act of terrorism. It was yesterday when me and some of the officials that are standing here today was standing in Dar Foundation about 4 years ago, mourning the shooting of the Quebec City Mosque. We were standing the same stand, we're saying the same words. So today, we are standing in the same position. 4.5 years passed since this incident, and guess what? Nothing really changed. 4.5 years. Did we criminalize the Islamophobia? Guess what? No. Have we fought the media bias against Muslim and Islam? No. Did we consequence the people who went around spreading hate and discrimination on social media against Muslim and Islam?
No.
So, what did we achieve in 4.5 years? As a matter of fact, just yesterday, my daughter brought to my attention that a man named Matt, and I'm calling his name for the police if he wants to get also information about this man. He's in Hamilton. He went into an Instagram and very close to our home here. What did this man do? He celebrated the killing of our Muslim brothers and sisters. He celebrated the death of the generation of our Muslim family in London.
Shame!
While we were mourning it here and we have all that grief, he wrote the message in the Instagram, and I will exactly say the words that he said and excuse one of my language into there. This man said, "This man did us good, killing and getting rid of a couple of Muslims in London. I am effing praise this man for jumping the curb and murdering them. Been waiting for a day like this." This is the message that went into an Instagram from one of the fellow Canadians. I am shocked, I am horrified to read such a message, but you have to hear it. This man, if given the opportunity, could be the next killer.
It's true.
He even used a laughing face. He used a gun emoji into his message. Then there are his friends who reposted this message. And then there are the thousands more who are like him and like them. Threatening messages like this encourage other hidden races to come forward and be violent to our community. This act does not happen in isolation. In fact, more than 86 MPs voted against the non-binding motion 103, condemning Islamophobia and religious discrimination. Do you know, one of them is what? One of them is the MP of London, where it happened, the whole act. It is not as surprising that these terrorist crimes happens when some of our leaders refuse to take a firm stance in the issue of Islamophobia. The policy of leaders sets the tone for their voters. Muslim men and women and children do not feel safe going for a walk on the streets of Canada anymore. Fellow leaders, our Muslim community will not live in fear for simply existing. Matt's statement is a reflection of the ignorance and hatred we experience for being Muslim. I ask all leaders who can hear me today, take every opportunity to educate people about the very real threat of Islamophobia. We need to continue to call the increase of hate crimes, such as the one in London, what they really are: acts of terrorism. We need to make it known Islam is not a race. It's not reserved for Arabs. It's not reserved for Asian or South Asians. It's not reserved for immigrants. There are Muslims from every race: Chinese, Colombians, African Americans, Caucasian, you name it. There are Muslims everywhere around the globe. It shouldn't really be a question to see all officials supporting Motion 103 condemning Islamophobia and all forms of racism and religious discrimination. It shouldn't be a question even to see a legislation that criminalizes whoever uses their hatred to terrorize the mosaic fabric of the Canadian family. It shouldn't be questions. In addition, as Dar Foundation, we are ready to facilitate community bridging workshops to different levels of government, and I mean it, to different levels of government, and to any influential group who can empower their community against Islamophobia. We are willing to conduct this session either virtually or on site. We are willing to help, but give us the opportunity. Together with these actions, I have confidence that we can rebuild security into the hearts of the Halton Muslim community again, and the lives of all people in Canada. Thank you very much.
For saying those words. One thing that he really said, it came to mind, these idiotic, disgusting rats, literal rats, are still considered innocent for our judicial system. That's out of my mind. Anyways, continuing on, I would want to invite Iyad to speak a little bit about the vigils and things that he experienced.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Hello, I hope you're all doing well in this very, very tough time. I'm just remembering when the Quebec mosque shooting happened, and I stood shoulder to shoulder at a vigil in Ottawa in the freezing cold night with our Muslim community, with members, with our allies outside of the community, and we cried shoulder to shoulder. And I felt the pain of that. And then years passed by, and again, before I go to sleep, early in 2019, I see the news of Christchurch shooting. I ignore it. My body can't process it. I say it can't be true, and I wake up the next day and it is in fact true. And my body's shaken. And again, I go to vigils and I feel the pain. This keeps happening. This is absolutely unacceptable. To our allies who are not Muslim here, we see you, we appreciate you, we feel you. To members of the Muslim community, Jazakumullah khair for coming. A message to our allies. SubhanAllah, when I was at the vigil in Ottawa, I remember standing beside a Canadian non-Muslim woman who brought her 2 3-year-old kids. And I started to talk to her. I'm like, why are you bringing these kids here? They're unaware of what's happening. They can't fathom the tragedy. Why are these kids here? You know what she told me? She said the kids are not going to remember that they're here today, but they're going to see photos. I'm going to tell them when they're older that this happened and that they were here and we took a stand for justice with them. So they always stand for justice. So to our allies, we see you, we feel you, we appreciate you. To our Muslim community, we are in pain. Let's not lie about this, you know? But we're also divided. Let's also not lie about this. Whether you belong to a certain masjid or Muslim community, whether you're practicing, whether you're not practicing, whether you're in hijab, whether you don't wear the hijab, you will be judged. Muslims don't get along together very well. We're far, far from united. Let's acknowledge that right now. But also let's acknowledge that our greatest strength is our shared weakness and shared pain, and by God, we are in pain. We are strong. We are strong because of our pain, we're strong because of the fear. So, to the Muslim community, we need to put aside these ridiculous infighting, the ridiculous, our inability to get together, to work together, and we need to work together to criminalize Islamophobia. We need to work together with our allies, who we appreciate dearly, to put pressure on the media to end the bias reporting. There's so much we need to do. This is only the beginning. Jazakumullah khair.
Now we're almost at the end of this extended vigil. Thank you so much for staying. So I would like to acknowledge the people here, like Dr. Khurram for providing the microphones, for all our representatives in the government, even though we might not agree to things, we hope you agree with us. You have to agree with us. And we hope that you actually do make a change, just like how you say you will make a change. Unfortunately, we will have to wrap up soon, but before I do, I would like to acknowledge Irshad Chaudhry, who is going to be a future conservative candidate for federal conservatives, and Alison Gohel, she is going to be the future MPP candidate for liberals. She is a candidate. And also I would like to thank Minister Anita Anand, I would like to thank the MPs Pam Demoff and Adam Van. Please do something. I'm sorry I did get emotional through this, but there's a reason why we're getting emotional. Because this can happen to anyone. This can literally happen to anyone. And also to Stephen Crawford for representing Doug Ford here. Once again, do not stay silent in terms of injustice when injustice happens. And also be proud for who you are and what you do. Women out there who are afraid to wear a hijab because they feel like someone's gonna pull it off. To all the Jewish people out there who are afraid to wear their kippas because they think they're going to be judged for it. To all the Aboriginals who get judged constantly, who do not have their rights, literal basic necessities to them. I am so sorry that we are living in this shameful country with its shameful history. And I hope we can fix that, and I hope we can heal together. Now we will have to wrap this up. We will have Dr. Amjad Qourshah, scholar of Dar Foundation, do a dua. A dua is a supplication that Muslims do. Anyone can partake in it. It will benefit all of us, especially in these horrible times that we are facing right now. And hopefully, once again, this is the last time that we are facing these horrible times. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, it's very emotional. I'm supposed to make a prayer. Before the prayer, I have a very quick message. I'm very sorry for being emotional. I'm a university professor. I traveled around about 30 countries in the last 35 years of my life. I lived in many countries. I decided to come to Canada because I was attracted with a very beautiful thing, as I hear that Canadians, they celebrate differences. Now, a few days ago, just to let you know, I have 4 daughters, my wife, 5 of them, they wear the hijab. So I'm asking myself, have I taken the right decision? Do you think it's something easy to think that you left the UK, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong? I received offers from many countries, everything to come to Canada. Now I'm asking myself, can I go in peace to my place of work and making sure that no one will run over my wife or my daughter because of her hijab? Can you let us clear? I'm very sorry if I became emotional. Please forgive me. Now, do you think the story is finished? That's it? Please, I want to try to portray the following scenario for you. Then I will send the message. Then I will go to the prayer. We have a child of 9 years old now. He is at hospital. No one knows on earth except God if he will stay alive. We don't know. We don't know. He's in a very severe, difficult situation. Imagine with me, we ask God Almighty to save him. Oh Allah, save him. After he's being saved, maybe he will be disabled. Maybe he can't walk. Maybe he can't speak. Maybe he can't do many things. Maybe he can't go to the washroom for the rest of his life. We don't know yet. However, imagine him at the age of 15. He was asking, what happened to me 6 years ago? He will be told that a nice white supremacist went over and smashed and cut to pieces your family. Okay, what did Canadian government did to him? The media told him the pickup driver. Okay, what happened with the laws to bring him to justice? Any capital punishment? No, it does not exist. How was he feeling when they captured him? He was smiling. Why he was smiling? You know why? Because it seems he's expecting that he will not face that any kind of big punishment because of the laws. Can you imagine? Can you imagine someone who killed four with a cold blood? He did not, for example, disappear for 10 days in a farm. What does this mean? Please analyze psychologically what does it mean. He knows that he might be backed up by a firms of lawyers or tens of people who will pay. The media will support. The media will bring tears maybe to some of the people, nice, good people like you. Oh, this nice person, you know, his mother, he was drunk, maybe everything will be forgiven. And that's it. Let's open a new page. And that's it. Because he knows, therefore, please, don't let such gatherings end by this. The important message that we need to send to the politicians, we thank them for what they did. Jazakumullah khair. And forgive me, I was supposed to start by saying thank you very much, especially for non-Muslims. Thank you very much from the bottom on behalf of Muslim community in Oakville, in Canada. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much. The fact that you are here paying from your time, it means your heart contains something unique, something beautiful. Thank you for supporting. But be aware that at any moment, if we do not stop this by two ways, I will send two solutions, two practical, applicable messages. The first one, legislations. This should be an act of terror. Anyone who writes anything on Islamophobia against Muslims or any other minorities should be criminalized by law. He should go sentenced to the jail. He must feel fear, or otherwise, simply, I'm sorry to say it, we are just entertaining, bringing some tears and experiencing some emotional moments, and that's it. We will go and sleep. Next day, God knows which one of us will lose his family. Legislation is number one. Number two, what we need to do, the government should address the media, especially the CBC. CBC, by the way, they are run by your taxes. It's an obligation to have a full programs spreading awareness about Islam and Muslims and all other minorities that might be under attack at any moment. Education them, educational sessions, let them know. Muslims in this country, there are 1.5 million. Thousands of them, they are paying tax. All of them, they love everyone like you. We have great things in our faith. We love everyone. Can you imagine in Islam, our Prophet told us that a woman went to the hellfire because she tortured a cat, an animal, not a human being. She tortured the cat till the cat passed away. She deserved the hellfire. Yet, some media, some social media, some white supremacists, some neo-Nazis, they are trying to tell the people that Muslims are terrorists. Big lies. But how we can fight them? The counter. What? Media. Communities. We speak. Okay, sorry for that. Jazakumullah khair. It was just a quick message. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. I will make the dua. In Islam we believe. In Islam we believe when someone is killed because of his faith or his honor or defending his family, he is a martyr, shaheed. We consider them, inshallah, shuhada. I will recite just very quick meaning of the prayer in English. Then I will say a short one in Arabic. Then I will recite the Fatiha in Arabic with all of you with the intention of bringing, inshallah, forgiveness for those who passed away and love and peace for all of us, inshallah. O Allah, O God Almighty, descend your blessings, descend your forgiveness upon those who passed away from the family. O Allah, help their relatives. O Allah, support their relatives. O Allah, please, O Allah, consider them martyrs. Let them be in the highest level of the paradise. O Allah, you promised believers who did the good things in their lives and they were leading a life of righteousness, that they will be from the people of paradise. O Allah, forgive them.
Amen.
O Allah, cleanse them.
Amen.
O Allah, forgive everything they have done.
Amen.
Let their family really be supported by the nice, good people like we are witnessing today.
Amen.
O Allah, protect their son.
Amen.
Help him, O Allah, not to have any kind of bad feelings or hatred in his heart when he is grown.
Amen.
O Allah, let him be, and this incident be a reason of awareness. Let this be a reason of spreading love and the true message of Islam, and let the people know who you are and how Muslims look at you, O Allah. I will say it in Arabic, اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم واعف عنهم اللهم اغسلهم بالماء والثلج والبرد ونقهم من الذنوب والخطايا والآثام كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس اللهم أبدلهم دارا خيرا من دارهم وأهلا خيرا من أهلهم وتجاوز عن خطاياهم يا رب العالمين. Respected brothers and sisters, lastly, please, I will recite the first chapter in our Holy Quran. It's called the opening. It contains a beautiful message of mercy from God Almighty. All Muslims, they recite it. Please, Muslims, if you know this verse, let's recite it all together, and we finish this beautiful gathering by reciting this short chapter of 7 verses with the intention of bringing peace into this country, to the hearts of everyone, and with the intention of asking God Almighty from the bottom of our hearts to forgive everyone who passed away from those people. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. جزاكم الله خيرا. بارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم.
Just a mistake that I did when I met shameful country. I didn't mean that I'm not proud to be Canadian. I am very proud to be Canadian, and everyone here should be proud to be Canadian. And I'm so sorry I hurt you. This whole thing was not about hurting, but more about learning and respecting each other's feelings, and about looking at like what's going on around. Hopefully change will happen. I am optimistic that change will happen, and inshallah change will happen. And thank you so much for everyone that came here today. This is another Canadian value that we can see. We all have each other's backs, even if it's as simple as giving a person a coffee or something like that. Here we brought a whole crowd together in the name of unity to fight against oppression. And inshallah we'll keep on doing so until this change stops. Jazakallah.